Welcome back, everybody, to another online business briefing brought to you by SmallCapVoice.com. And I'm your host, Stuart Smith, and we're going to shine the spotlight on another smart and fresh play out there in the market today. And it is really fresh. And what I mean by that, if you look back on the press wire starting in December of 2025 specifically, I want you to pull up a press release. Renewal Fuels announces proposed merger with Kepler Fusion Technologies. We're going to learn a lot about Kepler today, but Kepler is soon to be American Fusion, and I want you to find their website, which is under construction currently, at americanfusionenergy.com. Big news out today, and a lot of news on the press wire when you pull up Renewal Fuels Incorporated. That's the company that Kepler, well, I just read it to you. They were merging together. But here's another big piece of news, and this one's out January 5th, 2026. Renewal Fuels, OTC ticker symbol RNWF, and Kepler Fusion Technologies, again, soon to be American Fusion, provide strategic update on commercial fusion platform for public company readiness. Okay, and what we're going to talk about today when I welcome on Brent Nelson, the Chief Executive Officer of American Fusion, and we're going to go ahead and stick with American Fusion going forward, is Texatron. And I spent a lot of time diving into this, and I was able to do so by using that previous ticker symbol, RNWF. There is an investor fact sheet on the news wire. A lot of good press releases came out in December. Obviously, we've got a new website that's in construction currently, but we get to learn right about the company, right from the man with the plan behind the CEO title, and that's Mr. Brent Nelson. Brent, thanks so much for taking time for us today.
Yeah, thank you, Stuart.
So this is not going to be a bite-sized apple for people to dig into. Your Texatron Fusion, I'm a numbers guy, former CPA, a CFO. I'm not a tech guy, not nearly the tech guy you are. I'm looking at your background right now. Sort of break down what Texatron is and its applications and the target markets that you'll be tapping into for us, if you could.
Okay, so the Texatron was born out of an aerospace company that we have called Kepler Aerospace, and it was really designed to power, a spacecraft, an interstellar spacecraft. So, what we did is it's a compact aneutronic, so it means there's no neutrons, so it's non-radioactive. It was designed for that purpose. But then once we started building it and we got into prototype 5 and prototype 6, and people started looking at it and saying, hey, there's a lot of terrestrial, applications to this, even though, we've applied to NASA to power the lunar and the Martian power stations going up onto the planets. Anyway, but what we've done is we've engineered something. It's actually a miraculous machine. It's something about a meter in diameter or 4 feet in total diameter, could fit on the back of a pickup truck, actually puts out enough power to light up a small city like Midland or Odessa, which is where the prototypes and pre-production models have been developed.
Well, let me tell you what else is there in Odessa. And I know this is a fact because I have another client, Bitmine Immersion Technology, ticker symbol BMNR. There's data centers out there. And when you're telling me, when I read this, if I read it correctly, you can deliver clean, continuous, emission-free electricity through distributed deployment and long-term contracted arrangements. Okay. But you're saying it could fit on the back of a pickup truck. That is and so clean and continuous. Those are big too, but the smaller you get, the more valuable it is, let's be honest. And these data centers are soaking up and sucking up so much power. Is that the play here, or is there a limitless applications for your aneutronic emission? I'm sorry, let me say that again.
Well, you said it. You said limitless. At this point, I mean, a device that was really made to power a spacecraft. We've also had Boeing in to look at our technology as well. So they're betting on us to power the skies of the future. So what we have here is data centers in Odessa. We have lots of data centers in Abilene, which is less than 100 miles away to our east, I guess. So, the power that, the units that we're building now, the next unit that we're going to be building is a 100 megawatt unit. And so what we've done is we've done our valuation based on 100 megawatt units. So, whether it's a 500 megawatt unit or, 250 megawatt units or, 330 megawatt units, what we've done is we've tried to create this valuation based on the 100 megawatt unit. So that's basically what we're doing. We're building these small, compact, portable fusion reactors, which are non-radioactive. We can go and park them by any utility and plug into the grid. We have the same kind of infrastructure that's used for a solar power grid or a windmill grid, and so the same capacitor banks, the same type of transformers and inverters that are used to power the utilities can be basically plug and play with us. We're not reinventing the wheel. We've only reinvented the way we make the power.
Yeah, and it is a mouthful, and that's why I got hung up on it. Let me give it to you again, viewers, because it is important. I mean, the description really states what this is, and you can extrapolate from there the limitless applications. Next generation aneutronic fusion-based power system engineered for deployment in industrial, commercial, remote. Again, we're in Texas. I'm outside Austin. You're more in the remote part of Texas, and grid constrained environments. Now, grid constrained environments is what jumped off the page to me because I don't know that we can find a non-strained and grid environment anymore.
Right.
We are pushing the limits and the capacity with these AI engines, and whether it's agentic AI, whether it's just even, there's a lot of things that people are putting out there that, hey, every time you use Copilot or ChatGPT, it takes this much energy. So if that is the case, if that is true, then your company is quickly going to be in the spotlight at AmericanFusionEnergy.com and American Fusion. Again, look out for that name change, but for right now, and we'll keep you up to date on that, of course, here at Small Cap Voice. But right now, to pull up all the news, the ticker symbol is RNWF. I'm sure my producer put it over my shoulder while I was talking to you. So this all kind of came about. I'm sure there was a lot of groundwork and legwork throughout 2025, but the rubber hit the road December 1st with that first press release. I believe it was around December 1st, with that first press release about the merger. So where do we go from here, Brent? What does the landscape for the company look like in 2026? What are some of the operational goals you have for the company?
Well, basically, it's our goal by the end of 2026 to have an operational 100 megawatt unit and being able to plug that into the grid near a utility that we're already working with, here in North Texas.
Okay,
Mm.
so you're already working with the utility. That's important. What are some of the hurdles? Where are you at in this process getting down to the size and the output that you're looking for?
Okay, so, I'm a technology guy from way back, and in every deal that we do, there's always something that keeps you up at night. And in this deal, it was the switching, the how to do the switching for the power pulsing that happens by the magnetic confinement. And so we hired a power engineer who had, power line experience, power lines and pipelines and everything else. And within a week, he solved our problem. So now we sleep at night and we can make this thing happen. So the rest was how to downsize it. We have capacitor banks and transformers and inverters that are already out there. And if you don't have to worry about size, like stick them on an airplane or stick them in, a helicopter or something small, then it makes our technology relatively easy to deploy. And so, at the utility, basically all we need is a secure area. We're probably going to put the thing inside so that people can't, access it or shoot at it or do something crazy, but basically plug it into the grid up there and, live happily ever after. It'll be our first deployment of a working unit. We're already talking to other utilities. We're talking to some islands out there, some island countries that are out there already, which, use diesel,
Sure.
for their electricity. So yeah, no, we've got an exciting year ahead of us.
Well, something just jumped out, and this is the way my brain works. You're the tech guy, but I've always got wheels spinning on those applications. I'm reading here as I put out there industrial, commercial, remote. You mentioned the island countries and the island provinces, grid constrained environments. Well, you mentioned being able to transport by helicopter, potentially plane, for sure, a large enough cargo plane. Military, military applications, defense, those are always going to be remote areas, typically the battlefield, getting them to the front. That seems like a possibility, right?
We've already had discussions with the Department of War as far as supplying military based applications. So, we were talking, a submarine could be an application, for instance. Everybody knows that we've had nuclear powered subs and aircraft carriers for 20 or 30 years, but the maintenance on those things, the vehicles are down for, up to 2 or 3 years at a time just for refurbishing that equipment. So anyway, we present kind of a new, fresh look at how to deliver power to the system.
Another great point just jumped. So let's start checking the boxes in kind of a SWOT analysis: strength, weaknesses, opportunities, threats. One thing you mentioned that was getting these into safe spaces, but also the ability to have easier maintenance because they're not a massive thing that you're tackling and need to get, a power source can be, depending on what it is. I mean, they could be very difficult, I'm sure, to work on and expensive. And so let's talk a little bit about that with this unit. Eventually, I'm assuming one of the things that makes it bigger, faster, stronger, if you will, is the ease of maintenance, as you just pointed out, between that and nuclear. What other applications then? I mean, I guess it would be wind, solar, the green energies, we'll lump them all together, that you'd be competing with. But right now, from what I'm hearing, with size and scope and the output, you don't have a competitor, do you?
Well, we're going to be the first in our class out in the marketplace, or we believe we'll be the first. Never know if someone comes out of the tent somewhere and comes up with something. But what we're planning on doing is basically owning all our units and basically selling power as a service. So we'll sell power as on a per kilowatt basis. We were more than competitive with hydropower or any other power out there. We don't want to be in last mile delivery, so we're going to leave that to the utilities, and we'll just supply power to the grid. And there's lots of places in the country we can do that at very competitive prices and make very competitive margins.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's a nice, we didn't get into that yet. So I now I understand the vertical a little bit better and how you want to approach it as a company. So you're not going to be out there leasing units to people. You're going to own the units and sell the power directly to not the end user, that would be us in our homes, but to the power company then.
Right, that's the plan, and the idea here is that we will control the maintenance and service. One of these units, that can, basically pump out 30 to 50 megawatts of power, can basically run for a year on no more than a 2 liter, pop bottle of fuel. That's the amount of fuel it takes to power that type of energy for a year.
Well, it's
So
cliche. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, it's just an amazing footprint because you don't have to have, you don't turn water into steam. It makes electricity on the fly from the compression in the magnetic coils within the unit. And so, the fuel that runs it, which is helium-3 and deuterium, the bottles are, like I said, no bigger than a 2 liter pop bottle.
Yeah, I read about that proprietary deuterium helium-3 fusion reaction. I was about to say, people throw that word disruptive technology, or that phrase term disruptive technologies around, but I got to believe this is definitely going to be a disruptive technology. So I'm assuming between now and the end of 2026, the focus is going to be on testing, remote testing, testing different various applications, being able to see how hardy it is. West Texas, what a great place to be, because it can be like the lunar landscape once June hits.
Right. Well, we're actually looking for a place a little closer to Dallas and Fort Worth, just because there's more people with the skill sets that we need near the bigger markets. So, I mean, there's lots of folks from Lubbock, Texas Tech is close by, but there's a lot more of a talent pool in Dallas, Fort Worth area.
Well, we're speaking with Brent Nelson. He's the chief executive officer of Kepler, and Kepler Fusion Technologies is now going to become American Fusion. And the website, as I pointed out, americanfusionenergy.com. Brent, exciting to talk to you today. Wow, what a great time to be picking up this conversation with you right to kick off 2026. If there's anything, well, let me just give you the floor. Is there anything you want to leave with the potential investors, shareholders' thoughts, maybe considerations that I haven't brought up on how important this is and how limitless the applications may be?
Well, I think, time will tell, but we're hoping to pump our first megawatt of power into the grid by the end of 2026. We think that the future is so big. I mean, there's right now in America 4 trillion kilowatts of power every year, and that's growing at 16 to 28% per year for the next 4 or 5 years. So, America's going to need to power that. And I know there's a lot of legacy, nuclear fission reactors that are going back online, but I think we're going to beat them to the punch and we'll be the go-to guys. It's like Dr. Brandenburg said, it's like cavemen went around for 100,000 years and then all of a sudden they had fire and that caused a big change in life, life as we know it. And I think fusion is that next big leap.
We'll learn more about American Fusion at that ticker symbol for now, RNWF. I'm sure that ticker symbol will change, but it'll all go under that ticker, RNWF. That'll be the newswire where you find out about the name and ticker symbol change. Brent, exciting to speak with you. Thanks for making time for us today.
All right, Stuart, thanks very much for having us.
All right, for Brent Nelson, this is Stuart Smith reminding you not only to subscribe and leave comments, but reach out to us directly. If you'd like to learn more about this company and you're unable to pull down the fact sheet, we will email it directly to you. So reach out to us here, reach out to us on our social platforms, and we'll make sure to put all the social handles for the company as they're updated right here on this interview here on our YouTube channel for smallcapvoice.com. So once again, for Brent Nelson, this is Stuart Smith saying thanks so much for tuning in.